Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darylyn, and today I'm just gonna walk around my house and show you things. Just gonna show you plants. Show you plants, and here's why. I think I've been just like really uninspired lately, and like maybe I've been in like a little bit of a rut. And to be honest, I've been feeling like kind of sick of a lot of the plants that I have in my house. Like they just haven't been doing it for me lately. So I think that I might get rid of some. But also, as I've been kind of like walking around trying to figure out like which ones are getting cut from the team, I've also kind of noticed like a lot of new growth and been kind of excited to see other ones doing well. So I thought it might be fun to just have a chill little you know, new growth updates. I show you cool plants kind of thing. So I guess I'll just show you some like cute new growth and plants that I'm excited about. Oh, hang on one second. I just wanted to crack a beverage. Hey, you know, it's the weekend and your girl deserves it. So I guess let's just jump into it. This is a plant shelf that like you see in my videos, but you don't see it from like an angle where you can like see a whole lot. So there's a lot of good stuff on here. Let me grab a couple things. So I guess the first thing that I kind of want to show everybody is kind of a channel favorite. A lot of people ask me about this plant and ask me if I'm ever going to have like cuttings of it available. And this is a Syngonium green splash, aka Syngonium gray ghost. Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to share this plant with people and sell cuttings of it. The only problem is that it grows really slowly. So I'm not sure that, I mean, it might be a while because, you know, like I would like to give, you know, people something that was actually worth buying and, you know, leaves that were like a decent size. And this plant has a lot of small leaves on it and not as many of the big leaves, but this plant is so cool and it's starting to grow a lot. I think this plant maybe like really didn't like that it was wintertime, even though San Diego doesn't really have winter. So it's kind of like how dare you not grow? But it's starting to actually kind of wake up now. Like if you can see on the other side, this little tiny leaf right here, this was just like a new offshoot that kind of came in out of nowhere. So it's kind of cool. And the cool thing about this plant is that I don't know if it's gonna like really translate super well on camera, but the new leaves, they come in and have like a lot of pink on them. And it's really cool. And I'm excited too about this new offshoot that came up because it has a lot more of the sectoral, like splashy green on it than some of the other leaves on the plant. Like a lot of my leaves just have like really minimal like speckling on them. So I'm excited that this plant is doing really well. I mean, it's a really cool one. And yeah, people ask me about it all the time. So I wanted to share a little fan favorite. First, and getting kicked off with a bang, I guess we can do another Syngonium really quick. This is my Syngonium freckles mutation, and it's really pretty. Like if you want to like compare the two, this one is a lot more like well known. I don't know how rare this one is really because like I see it on price lists for import like all the time, but I don't see it for sale domestically in the United States as often. So I wonder, I don't really know how rare it is. This one is pretty rare, I'm pretty sure. Hang on, let me put this back on the shelf. So yeah, this Syngonium freckles mutation is really, I think it is pretty rare and it's so pretty. And I'm really like pleased to report that it gave me this beautiful new leaf and it hardened off and it looks great. And then it's giving me this new leaf. It's definitely making the most of the growing season. I'm excited for this plant to get bigger because I think this is one that's gonna look really good as like a large plant. So yeah, Syngonium freckles mutation is doing awesome. So this is a plant that I recently repotted this and I just like didn't do it on camera because I don't know what it is. Like sometimes I just like want to do plant chores and not film it. I know lots of people love plant chore content, but like I just don't really like making it. Or honestly, like I don't really like watching it either. It's just not really for me, but I did repot this plant into like a bigger self-watering pot and pond. It's doing pretty well. Like this acclimation damage here, like this is from the Santa Ana winds. I've talked about this like so many times on my channel, so forgive me if you've already heard about this, but basically in Southern California, sometimes we'll get like random bouts of like really hot, dry winds blowing in from the desert, and like the humidity will plummet. And usually when that happens, certain of my plants will be really sad about it. This is one. This is Anthurium bessieae, affinis green form. So really it's just like a no ID Anthurium. I don't think it looks anything like an Anthurium bessieae. Like it has this big sinus right here. And it is like, I would say probably one of like the quirkier Anthurium I own. It's probably not very common. Like I don't even know like where I would get more of these if like the person who I originally got them from like didn't have it. Like I don't know where I would even get more, but it's doing really well. It's clearly like sized up a lot. Like the old leaves that were on it when I got it were like this big. And then I put it into pond, and like this was the first leaf that popped out in pond. It was like, whew, huge. And this one, unfortunately, this new leaf has a little bit of spider mites damage on it. And I don't know where the spider mites came from. I really don't struggle with spider mites very much. And I think it's because of where I live. I think that because the humidity here is like decent, and it's not like in LA where like people really struggle with spider mites. Like I don't know where they came from. Like maybe there was some on that Syngonium when I got it and I just didn't catch them. But unfortunately they got this leaf, but that's okay. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this plant looks. It looks awesome. It's huge. And I mean, the fact that this damaged spot's like dried up is a really good sign. So I'm sure that it'll probably work on roots for a while, and then it'll put out another leaf. And I'm like almost like scared. You guys, I'm almost scared to see like how big the next leaf is gonna be. So like, here's a head test. It's like, it's pretty big considering that it lives on this shelf back here. The shelf isn't that big. So that's a problem I'm kind of running into with a lot of my plants now, is that a lot of them are growing, which is good. That's what we want, but they're getting really big. And I'm like, well, I don't like, where am I going to put all these plants? Like I only have so much space. So if you're someone that's buying a lot of small plants and like having a lot of success with them, like just kind of start thinking about like, what am I going to do when these plants all start getting big? Because eventually you're going to have to like make some decisions and it kind of sneaks up on you, like, to be honest. So that's this Anthurium bessieae affinis green form. All right, so I think I've showed this plant on this channel a bunch of times, but this is my Hoya polyneura, and it's huge. Like, it's huge. There's so many growth points on this thing, and I've noticed that it's starting to actually put out peduncles. I think I read somewhere that a lot of Hoya like to flower in the fall, so I'm really hoping that maybe this one will flower in the fall for me, because that would be really cool. I've never actually gotten a Hoya to bloom before. I'm not really much of a Hoya like keeper. I just don't have room for them, but this one was like a rare plant that like I had to have like back in the day. These aren't really like that rare anymore. This one's kind of special because it's like a lot splashier than most polyneura are. It's definitely not like splashy enough to be considered like the brogée or the broget. I don't know how to pronounce it. The brogée form, where like all of the leaves are like even more splashy than that. But yeah, it's growing like crazy. Like when I got this plant, it was just one strand. You know, I've cut it, I've propagated it, I shared it with someone, I traded somebody a little chunk of it. And that old adage that Nick Pileggi always says, like he always says like some plants, when you are trying to grow them out, the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, the third year they leap. And this is now going on like going into the third year of having this plant. Yeah, I mean, the first year it didn't really grow a ton. The second year it did start growing, and like now it's just like exploding. So if you have Hoyas and you have ambitions to have big full pots and they're super slow to grow, don't stress too much. Eventually they will start to grow, but like, that's really cool. This is another like channel favorite. This is my Peperomia immaculosa. It's doing really well. Like, I know nothing about Peperomia, and if you watched my like plants I killed video, you know that I killed really beautiful variegated watermelon Peperomia, tragically, but this one has done like really, really well for me, and I just left it in moss, and I really probably need to be better about watering it because it looks like some of the roots down there are dead, but it's growing well for me. It looks like there's a new leaf coming in right there, like a little baby leaf right there, and I think this leaf here is new. It's like all rolled up like that, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this plant has done. This leaf is new. It's just finally like completely stopped growing and hardened off and stuff fully. So I'm pretty happy with this. Apparently this is like a kind of a rare Peperomia. So of course, you know, like the only one I have just happens to be like a rare one. Ivan actually gave this to me when I was at one of the pop-ups and we did like the long like vlog interview series. He gave this to me as like a thank you for helping out. So that was super nice. So it's kind of like a cool plant, has some like cool memories attached to it, but yeah, it's doing good, and I'm super pleased with how it's gone. So this is my little Florida ghost, which I don't know, it's gonna be a little difficult for me to show this because it's in leca, but my little Florida ghost. It is doing super, super well. I got this plant as an unrooted cutting, like, God, was it like over a year ago, I think? It was just this leaf. And it took a really long time to root. It was really, really a long process to root the plant. I shouldn't have really been surprised since like Florida beauties have like the same reputation as the Florida ghost for being really difficult to root. But yeah, eventually it did root clearly in water, and you know, it's growing and it's doing really well. And this leaf is a lot bigger than the other two. And I just added like some more leca to the cup. So like one little kind of, I guess, trick I've used a few times with rooting plants is like if you root them in water and then you add leca, they root a lot faster. But then if you leave like a little bit of space at the top of the cup, like empty, so that when the plant like starts to like grow out of the leca, you can add more and it'll actually root into the leca and it'll help the plant mature faster. It's kind of like a little tip, but yeah, it's a fun one. And when this leaf first emerged, it was a lot whiter than this. So a lot of people, I feel like I hear they have issues actually getting the Florida ghost to like come out white and then actually turn green. Like I know a lot of people say, I've seen it online a lot at least, that like they'll have a Florida ghost and they'll either have problems with like not giving any white or putting out white and then not turning green. So I'm pretty happy with how this one is going. Let's see if I can show you a little bit better. All right, cool. So this is a Philodendron prairie verde cutting. I got it from my friend, and it's just been in a drinking glass, chilling, doing its thing. And as you can see, it rooted up really nicely. It's even actually putting out more roots into the water, so that's awesome. And it put out new little leaf for me. I don't really see any variegation on it, so that's kind of disappointing. That would kind of suck if there was no variegation on it, but yeah, I mean, it's done well, and we're gonna see. And also this plant, I have a bunch of nodes in my prop box, so if it's not doing well, if it doesn't look good, I can always like try, you know, with all the other nodes and see if I can get better color that way. So this right here, if you guys have watched this channel for a long time, you'll like laugh at this because so I've always had issues with Anthurium clarinervium. That's what this is. This is Anthurium clarinervium. I had a really beautiful one that just did really well for a couple of months and then just like tanked. This one I imported from Indonesia with that big Indonesia import, and I gave up on trying to keep Anthurium clarinervium in semi-hydro, and so this one is in little soil mixture and it seems to like it. It's doing well. And this right here is a little new leaf. So it did actually put out this leaf in my care and it looks really nice and healthy, but it is super leggy and a little small. And I think that's just because it was like in the grow tent, not on the shelf that had the light. So it isn't as like striking as I would hope, but I have high hopes for this one, and I'm hoping that putting this into an aroid mix is going to be better for it. I guess clarinervium in the wild are terrestrial. Secret. I find that a lot of the anthurium that are labeled as like easy anthurium are the ones that are like more terrestrial, and like the care for them is nothing even close to the kind of care that I give my like other anthurium. And so I usually struggle with them because I do not keep anthurium in soil, but hopefully this clarinervium is like, you know, gonna turn it around for me with clarinervium, because I do think that they're very beautiful. Of the like more reasonably priced, more attainable anthurium, I do honestly think the clarinervium, like as far as looks go, is probably one of my favorites, but I just like haven't been able to figure out a way to get along with them. So cross your fingers for me that this is gonna work out. All right, so this is a really cool plant. This is my Anthurium longissima lobum, and it is putting out a new leaf. So that's really exciting. I really like this plant. This plant is definitely not as rare as it used to be. It used to be called like the spiritus sancti of Anthurium because As far as like Anthurium species go, like not like fancy hybrids, this was like one of the rarest ones out there for a really long time. But this year they've kind of started popping up on the scene, and, you know, people are scrambling to get them. And I mean, it's a cool plant. Like, I really like it. And, you know, clearly I grow it and keep it. And it's an easy plant to grow. They just really need like good airflow over humidity. So it can be a little bit tricky if, you know, you keep all your plants in a grow tent and you're used to Anthurium that need like a ton of humidity. And like, if you make a mistake with this, like you might, you might have an issue. But I mean, it's done like really well just out in my ambient humidity, like 55, 60%. I have it in pond now, but it was in moss for a long time. So yeah, Legissimolobum's doing well, and we're gonna have a new leaf soon. I'm hoping it's gonna be a nice big one, so I guess we'll have to see. There may be another video coming at some point that's like more focused on Anthurium, and by the time I shoot that, maybe that leaf will be like unfurled and nice and big. I think lighting throughout this video might be a challenge because I'm gonna be like moving around, but that's okay. We're already like 22 minutes in and I've done one corner, so whatever. It's gonna be how it's gonna be. So this whole situation right here is new. I haven't like showed it really yet, but there's a little preview. But we'll just look at the plants that are sitting on top of it. Yeah, so this plant, this is my Hoya croniana super silver. I'm like pretty proud of this, even though it doesn't look like much, because I got it a really long time ago. And when I got it, I'm pretty sure it was only like this one leaf. Yeah, and look how much it's grown. And this is like another like example of like Hoyas where they take a really long time to grow. I think I've had this plant like going on 2 years, and like I'm just now getting like 2 branches from it. And I have actually another piece of this in one of my prop boxes, and I should probably add it to the little pot of pond soon. And it's gonna be a really cute little plant. And actually I saw somebody that had one of these on a round trellis and it looked really good. So I might have to do something like that, because I just find Hoya grows so much better when they're like on a trellis or climbing something. They don't really want a trail, to be honest. Like, yeah, that's just my experience. I'm not like a Hoya expert by any means, but so here's Queen Celine. My strawberry shake. Oh God, there's a glass of water right there. Why? Oh God. All right, so whoopsie. All right, so here's Queen Celine, my strawberry shake, and she's huge. She's been huge though, and she's doing okay. She's really pretty, but I do need to like take some cuttings and actually I think restart her, because she's just so big and unruly, and the amount of plant that's in this pot is so ridiculously minimal considering how big this plant is that I actually am not 100% sure that there's any roots in the pot. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they all died, because I don't know, I've made a lot of mistakes with this plant. Like, she's fine and there's lots of plant here and I have plenty of chances to rectify it and start over with her. And there's lots of nodes and lots of like beautiful leaves too, but like I could have done things better and differently. So yeah, I think she's gonna need a chop here coming up pretty quick, but she's got like absolutely beautiful color. Like, oh my God, this pole does not want to stay upright. Like, see what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a lot of root in there holding that in place. Maybe none, like, to be frank. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. That's so pretty. The color on there. And then like, this is probably one of my favorite leaves. So good. And then the color over here is starting to like really, really come through. Like, it's starting to turn peach and pink. It's just really beautiful. And actually, I mean, it's not as striking because it's just still hardening off, but that's a half moon with a marbling on the other side. And it's really pretty. And there's a new leaf that just popped out of the caterpillar. So lots going on with her. She's very pretty. I like her a lot. And I'm excited to kind of go on a new journey with her and restart her and, you know, get her climbing right and everything. But for now, yeah, it's like, that situation like is less than ideal, but there's that. So I show this Anthurium crystallinum black on here all the time because I'm pretty obsessed with it. I mean, you can kind of see why. It's huge, it's freaking adorable and amazing and awesome, and I'm really proud of it. And up until recently, I had always just kept it in my grow tent because I was like pretty terrified to take it out, but I kind of didn't really have a choice at a certain point. It was just taking up way too much space in there, and I mean, it's a crystallinum, like there's really no reason why it can't live out in open air. But I did take it out, and it's actually done pretty awesome. It really hasn't flinched, and these like old leaves at the bottom, they already kind of looked like that before I repotted it and took it out. So I mean, it is kind of what it is, but look at this. It's already trying to give me another leaf. So I'm really pleased and excited about that, because this plant is like probably my most impressive plant size-wise. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm really pleased that it's doing well out in the open, and I'm really pleased that it's giving me another leaf already. Another big boy Anthurium that I recently had to take out of kind of the humidity vessel is this big Anthurium serenoid velvet. Yeah, like this plant is huge. It doesn't fit anywhere. It doesn't fit in the grow tent. It doesn't fit in the mini greenhouse. It doesn't fit anywhere else in any of the bins. Obviously, it's huge. And so I was just like, I guess it's just gonna have to survive. And if it doesn't survive, it's just, you know, that's just gonna be what it is. But yeah, no, it's done really well. I still have it in moss, and I think I might leave it in moss. I actually should probably put it into a bigger pot and like give it more moss. I'm like, I can't figure out like a place to hold it without it being awkward. But yeah, I mean, this plant is just like so beautiful. I mean, I really like it. It's done really well for me. I think the trick with these is you probably want to let them get like really established before you take them out of high humidity. And like, it remains to be seen if this plant does well for me once the growing season ends, because that's what happened to my other one. I had an Anthurium serenoid velvet that did fine over the summer, and then once winter came, it rotted in pon. It was DIY pon, and I actually just had another plant rot in DIY pon. I've never had that happen to genuine lechuza pon, so I'm not going to be putting like coveted plants in DIY pon anymore. But yeah, I mean, like, it's doing like amazing. It's freaking huge. I'm really pleased with how it's doing, and I think it looks really good on here. So yeah, I'm really pretty happy with it. All right, so I was going to try and pick up this plant, and I don't think it's gonna happen. I gotta readjust the lighting. Oh my god, this pole, I need to do something about this plant. Okay, so really quickly, I did kind of want to show you my Philodendron glorious mother plant. This plant is really special to me. It's from NSE Tropicals, and its mother plant was actually from like a seedling from the original hybridization of Philodendron melanochrysum and Philodendron gloriosum. So that is really cool in my opinion, and I'm really pleased. I repotted it. As you can see, it's in like a big pot down there, and I gave it a pole, and I'm really working hard to try and get it to attach to the pole. It can be a little bit tricky sometimes in like low humidity to get plants to attach to poles. So I'm working on it, but it recently put out a new leaf. So I'm really pleased with that, and it's doing really well. And I just really hope that by the time it gets to the top of the pole, we maybe have some like nice big leaves, because these plants can get like really big. So that would be extremely cool. All right, so this is like another little area that I like almost never show on the channel, just the top of my dresser, like partly because I think it looks kind of like a mess, but there's a lot of cool stuff up here, stuff that I haven't like shown in a while, and stuff that kind of looks different. This is a Magnificum X crystallinum, or a crystallinum X Magnificum, and it put out this giant leaf, which is really cool. Which unfortunately, like, so one tip I will give about growing Anthurium is that you want to give them enough space so that when they're growing in new leaves, they don't brush up against anything, because they get damaged really easily, unfortunately. Like, this leaf was so perfect, and then when it was unfurling, it like bumped up against some other leaves, and it just kind of got a little like messed up. But I mean, it's okay. Like, I don't really mind personally for me, but I guess it would be nice, you know, if it was perfect, but it is what it is. So here is my Philodendron bessieae. It is very bushy, which is cool. I feel like I don't see bessieae that look like this very often. Like, I feel like they usually are a little bit leggier when they start to climb, I guess, but this one's just super like bunched together. I think it likes leca. I mean, I've done pretty well with it in leca, so I guess I'm gonna keep this plant in leca, even though I don't really like leca, but I've got another little leaf on it that's unfurling, so that's exciting. I'm really pleased with this. I mean, I almost feel like it's gonna probably be ready to climb pretty soon. Like right now, it's just got leca. Like I don't even be able to see this. I don't want to like dump the leca everywhere. Like right now, it's got leca just like pushed up to the top, and I kind of did the same trick as I did with the Florida Ghost, where I just kept, you know, like some space at the top of the container and then just kept piling leca on top. And yeah, I mean, I think it worked pretty well. It's grown in really compact, so I like it a lot. So this is like a crystallinum Doriaki hybrid. I got this in my big Indonesia import order, and I really like this anthurium. Honestly, like it's a really good anthurium. It's pretty tough, and it acclimated to like regular humidity like pretty well. And you can't see it as much on this one because this leaf isn't as new, but the new leaves come in like purple, and I think that's really cool. There's another like big leaf in the back that isn't looking as good, but yeah, I really like this plant. I actually have another one of these that I just left in moss, and it's honestly like the leaves look cleaner and a little bit better. So I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving your anthurium in moss like permanently. if I'm being fully honest. So this is a plant I don't think I've shown on here in a really long time. And this is my Philodendron felix. These, I think they're still like kind of expensive, but these ones are like, yeah, kind of like a plant collector plant. Like they're not super common. And one of the things about these that is kind of like interesting is that they grow extremely slowly. The only place that this plant has ever really like grown consistently for me is the grow tent. And like the grow tent's not really a place that I'm like leaving plants for the long term. I mean, it does have, I did cut it like to share with a couple people, and it does have a little growth point, but I mean, it's probably going to be a really long time before this plant actually, like, how do I even show it? It's really going to be a really long time before this plant like actually starts putting out like big leaves again. So, I mean, yeah, if you are thinking about getting one, just keep that in mind that they grow really slow. And then the last thing over here that I guess I'll show you that's new is that I took my big Splendid out of the tent, the mini greenhouse tent thing on my living room, and I put it on a pole and I repotted it, and it is like making all of my Philodendron Splendid dreams come true. Like that was one of the plants that I really wanted like back when I first got into collecting plants, and I did get it from somebody like pretty early on. I was super lucky, like I got it in a trade like really early on, but I always wanted like a big one, and I was never very successful with getting that plant to size up. So my friend, my lovely fairy plant mother, sent me a cutting of her huge one. So it was pretty awesome, and I really like it. All right, let's go to the grow tent. There's some stuff in there. All right, here we are at the grow tent. Hi, oh my goodness, look who it is. Oh my goodness, look who it is. Oh, Bobby. Oh, honey. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful. Good boy. Careful. Oh my goodness, come here. You want to say hi? Look who it is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We interrupt this plant video for some puppies. Okay. Hi. Hang on. All right. Hi. What are you doing? Stop. Oh my god. Hi. Oh, honey. Oh my goodness. Oh, hi. Oh, Ruby. Hi, honey. You're so sweet. Good boy. You sit. You sit. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. So I guess he's gonna hang out with us when we do this part. I'm going to show you a couple of things in the grow tent. So I guess the first thing is that this gloriosum zebra is looking really cute. Like, look how beautiful that is. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased that that came out so good. Yeah, I imported this and it like really did not show up looking very good. So I'm really glad that it was able to rehab pretty easily. And it's just in moss in the grow tent. Like moss in the grow tent like seems to be, hi, can I help you? Oh my God. Okay, honey, yeah. Here. Hi. Oh, honey. Honey. What are you doing, girl? Oh, honey. Can you sit next to me? Can you sit next to mommy? This is gonna be this might be difficult. And I would just normally kick him out and put him in the other room, but James isn't here right now. And so he's probably just gonna sit by the door and cry. So maybe he'll chill out. But yeah, so this gloriosum zebra, like, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, just moss in the grow tent. Moss in the grow tent is like pretty much turning out to be the most clutch setup for anything that needs to be rehabbed or like needs help. It really is kind of a miracle worker. Here's my other gloriosum that I imported with the zebra. I was on like a gloriosum kick. I'm still on a gloriosum kick. Like I really want like a big gloriosum, and I've had my other gloriosum for like years now, and it's been a slow burn to get it to size up, and it finally is a little bit, but it's still not like the gloriosum of my dreams. What else in here is looking good? So this, I don't think I've showed this on the channel in like forever, like literally forever, but this is a Verrucosum x waterburyanum anthurium. Hi baby, can you please? Yeah. And this sucker, hi. Yeah, you're beautiful. You should look at the, you want to look at the camera? Look at the camera. He's like, no. This took forever to grow, but this is a new leaf. I have a feeling if I put this plant into pond, it would get huge really quickly because I've noticed that the queen anthurium kind of plants don't really love moss. So maybe it just needs to go into semi-hydro, but it's doing really well, and I'm super happy that it's looking so good. Here's a cute little queen anthurium. This is supposedly the dark and narrow form. I have a few of these in here that the kind of intention was to sell them eventually, but a lot of them like didn't acclimate very well, so I don't know. So this is my Anthurium wendlingeri, and I got this as a seedling from Enid like back last year, and like if you look at it, like here's the growth that I got from her, and then all of this like little like nasty, like I don't know what this is, it's gangly nasty business, but I recently like repotted this plant, like resituated it in pond and kind of stuck the stem into the pond to see if I could get it growing a little bit better, if maybe it had, you know, some more roots. And the newest leaf that's coming out looks like a lot more normal, so I'm just gonna cross my fingers that hopefully that did the trick, and then this plant is gonna start kind of growing, because yeah, I've had this for a long time. I've had this getting close to a year now, and it's just like been scraggly and hasn't gotten any bigger, and like I don't know. So if anybody has one of these and like has had success with them, the Anthurium wendlingeri, like let me know. Like I wouldn't mind picking your brain, because my vittariifolium is doing amazing. So another really cute thing that I have is this is an Anthurium Wonder Boy, and it's finally starting to do well. I think it likes the grow tent. So I'm just gonna leave it in there, but these are cool. They're very pretty. So I'm very pleased that it seems to have finally figured out what it wants from me in the grow tent. This Anthurium, so this is apparently another Anthurium crystallinum x magnificum, and it doesn't really look like the other one, the big one that I showed you. It like comes out, and like the new growth used to be like really pink, and it was really pretty. I'm not really sure. It's always struggled, but it seems to finally be growing in the grow tent. I don't know what happened here, but I'm hoping that it'll push out some new leaves and eventually it'll look like a plant, because it was really beautiful when I got it. I think that's like pretty much everything in there. There's like some big queen anthurium in there I don't really feel like dealing with right now. Let's go in the living room. There's a lot of stuff out there. Hello again. So here we are out in the living room. There's a lot of really cute stuff going on out here. So I guess let me just show you a couple little things. I guess like this Alocasia black velvet is so great. Like this I think is the most recent leaf on it, and it's just like so big and so black. And I think this might be a flower. It's possible that this is a flower. Oh yeah, no, it is. It's definitely a flower. It's a flower. You know what's crazy is that my Alocasia Frydek Ralphie. You know what's crazy? Yeah, this is definitely a flower. So you know what's crazy is that my Alocasia frydek is also blooming right now. So I don't know anything about how to pollinate Alocasia. I might need to look it up because that might be kind of cool. It might be a cool project. So Alocasia black velvet is looking cute. So here's another plant that I mentioned earlier that's just like done super duper well for me. And that's my Anthurium vittariifolium. And I know I almost never show this plant on this channel. And I don't know why that is. I mean, it's probably mostly just because it's out in the living room and usually I film in my bedroom. But this guy's done absolutely incredible. This I imported, there's actually 2 plants in here, but this I imported from Indonesia back in the fall, I think is when I finally got my order. And yeah, it's done great. It does not mind like the ambient household humidity. I've just got it in moss and I mean, it's doing really great. It basically never stops pushing out leaves, especially with 2 of them in here. So like, I think this is the most recent leaf that's come out. So it's really pretty. And then another one's already on the way from the other plant. So this plant just pretty much never stops growing and it's really resistant to like leaf damage and it looks fantastic on my shelf. This was one that I didn't really like know what to expect from. Like I knew they were popular, so I got a couple to see like how they would do and see if I was going to eventually want to sell them. But I actually think I'm just gonna keep this. I think I'm gonna keep this. Yeah, I really like it. So I'm gonna keep it, but yeah, it's doing awesome. Like if you're looking for a plant that looks really nice as like a decorative piece and is really chill, but is a little different than like your run-of-the-mill garden center trailing plants, this one is really cool. So yeah, Anthurium vittariifolium, highly recommend if you're in the market for something like this. Highly recommend. Like, So another plant that I'm like pretty happy with right now is my silver stripe philodendron, because I had to restart this. I got one of these like a couple of years ago and it was growing and it looked amazing, and I was finally getting to the point where the plant was getting like bushy and impressive, and it got thrips and like just I tried to like propagate it and most of the cuttings just didn't make it. So this is all that's left, but it's really pretty and it's starting to finally make a comeback. I recently put all the cuttings that I have together in this one pot and I'm really excited for it to hopefully start looking really impressive soon. It's already started growing. I think this is one of the newer leaves and that's really pretty. I love the chartreuse color that comes through on the silver stripe, but I also really like it when it's got like a lot of white like that leaf does. This leaf came out like a little funky. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but hopefully it kind of flattens out and it looks like a more typical silver stripe leaf so you can actually see the color. But yeah, super happy with this. I mean, I think by the end of the growing season, this is going to be like an unrecognizable plant because it's already like starting to kick off growing and there's a lot of cuttings in there. So cross your fingers for me that this is like, it like gets going and maybe eventually it'll be at the same status as my like giant sibu blue that's up here. I can bring it down, I think. Oh man, wow. This is like, this actually might need repotted. This is huge. Might need a haircut too, to be honest, because the bottom is starting to get a little like chaotic, but look how nice that looks. It's really bushy on the top. I'm really proud of it. I mean, like the back of it is really sparse, but that's because it's, you know, it's always faced one direction. But yeah, I mean, it looks really good. Some of the leaves on top are actually like kind of big. So yeah, this plant I've had for a couple years, I think. And when I first got it, it was a really good deal for the time. Like I got, you know, like a little like 4-inch pot. It was like a pretty bushy 4-inch pot for like $25 like 2 years ago. Like I would say that was a really good deal. Like I definitely wasn't expecting that much plant when I got it. Like I was expecting it to just be like one cutting for $25. Gives you a sense of how the market's changed on this plant. But yeah, I mean, it's huge. This plant grows so well. And like, I just like took a bunch of cuttings off of this plant. Like I want to say like over the winter and like, look at it now. It's huge. So really, really happy about it. I'm just, yeah, like very pleased with with how it's like bounced back from being cut. And I think the Cebu blue looks so good against like terracotta and against wood. So it's definitely a cool one. If you're not like into like the golden pothos as much, you like the silver plants, yeah, I'd say this is a good choice. It's growing like crazy, that's for sure. So this is my other gloriosum. I've had this gloriosum for a really long time. And when I first got it, it was like a tiny leaf. It was like, I don't know, like a 2-inch leaf. I got it from Botanicas. We've got like all of these leaves, and then it's sitting on a shelf in kind of a weird spot. That's why the leaves are kind of wonky and going all over the place. But this is the most recent leaf that's unfurled. And if, I don't know, the camera sometimes makes it hard to like really tell how big things are, but it's beautiful. This is a huge leaf. Really, really nice leaf. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Like, I'm thinking this plant probably needs a repot, because as you can see, like in the pot, it's not a huge pot and the plant goes all the way up to the end. So might be about time for this plant to get a repot. And my guess is that if I do get around to repotting it, it'll probably size up pretty quickly. I'm just trying to kind of figure out like what I want to do with it, because I don't really have a ton of space to put like a huge pot. But this plant, if I want it to like live up to its potential, it needs more from me. So, but yeah, that is my super cute gloriosum. It's kind of all over the place. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I got the little tiny like 1-leaf cutting at the end of end of 2020. So yeah, this is like almost like a year and a half of growth. And this could have probably grown faster if I'd like done a better job with it, as you know, as always. But so this is my mint adansonii. It's gotten so big. So I've been working really, really, really hard to get this plant to attach to this pole. And let me tell you, it is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be to get a plant to attach to a pole, but this one has attached. Like, I can see it on the back, especially like right here. Hopefully you can see. But yeah, it's attached to the pole. So that's really cool. And that's probably why all of a sudden it's putting out leaves that are like this. It's kind of hard to see, but this leaf is huge. And then this leaf up here is huge. And I also love just like how beautiful the color on this plant has the potential to be. It's like moss poles are definitely like harder than I thought that they were going to be. And they're definitely not like magic, but once you get a plant to actually attach to one, magical things can start to happen. Like, I'm really, really curious to see how this plant continues to do. And I will probably, so let's see where we are. It's just in moss with like some leca at the bottom. And oh yeah, I mean, this is like definitely could be repotted, and maybe I'll repot this soon. Yeah, I could repot this into a bigger pot and extend the pole and maybe add in like one more cutting or a couple more cuttings. And like this plant could get big fast. That would be super, super, super cool. Like, could you imagine Becca de la Plants is like giant adansonii, but like a mint variegated one? Oh, and like, you look at the back here on this huge leaf, there's already another leaf. I don't know if I can show it. It might be kind of hard. There's already another leaf trying to come out back there. So that's pretty cool. And I wish that the lighting was a little bit better for you. Oh, there you go. That's perfect. Like, look at this leaf. It's huge. It's against my hand, you can really see how big the leaf is. And it does kind of suck that when there's a lot of the white variegation, it tends to not like maintain the perfect shape of the leaf, but that is so cool. And then this one here is really pretty too. It's big, big, big leaf. And then like the color is just so pretty. Then another like kind of project that I've been working on is I cut a bunch of my albos. I cut all 3 of them. One of the top cuttings I traded to a super nice viewer for a secret plant that I'm like not really ready to share with everybody yet, but I traded it and it was super cool. And like, this is the other cutting from that plant, and it is the mid cut, but as you can see, it's got like a nice active bud going there, and it's just rooting like crazy. Like there's a root like coming out of the top. Like, you can't see it. There it is. Has a root coming out of the top. Like, this is gonna probably need to be repotted soon. I was actually thinking of using this for a giveaway on the channel, so I might do that. I don't know. It's hard to like let them go though. Like this one here, somebody actually posted they were looking for an albo, and I posted this one in their thread, and they said they wanted to buy it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then like I was like, hey, when are you coming to pick up your plant? And they never like responded. So I guess they're not gonna get this. I mean, I guess this plant's not sold anymore, but it is a beautiful friggin' top cut. And I'm so pleased. I just noticed this actually just now, that it's officially got roots, got nice new ones. Like when I put it into the soil, it already had roots from the air layering. So like I knew the plant had roots, but it's taken a really long time for them to kind of like peek out the side. So I'm really, really pleased. So this one's like 100% like, I know this plant is like good to go. It's gonna do well. But like, look. It's really pretty. That's really, really pretty. I do need to sell some of these albos. Like I don't really have space for them all. There's like 3 more over here. Some of them are kind of like the leaves got a little like jocked up, but then I guess I would like to show you some of the stuff that's in here. So one of the things that I'm like super excited about right now is this Philodendron verrucosum eerie color. Like, look at that leaf. So pretty. I've shown this plant on this channel before. I think I showed it in like a growth updates from Aquagenera pop-ups or something. Then I had actually cut it, and the cutting like rotted, and I think I salvaged it. It's in the prop box, but this bottom cut, it pushed a leaf so fast. Like, oh. So good. I love the way that Varicosum leaves look when they come out, because I think they look like little unicorn horns. You can tell this leaf is going to be really big. I'm so excited for this because it's just like really too bad that the other cutting rotted, and I'm just really excited to see what this plant looks like. Like honestly, like I'm just excited to see what this leaf looks like, but then I mean, I'm going to continue to let the plant grow, and I'm stoked because this plant is so beautiful. So that is one that I'm like really excited about. So this is a Philodendron luxurians, and everybody knows what a reputation these plants have for just being really difficult and hard to acclimate. This one's done pretty well. This is actually still one of the shipping leaves from import, and it's done pretty well. This was the new leaf that came out, and it got like kind of caught on stuff, and it came out when the plant was in water. And so it's clearly not doing that great. It doesn't look that great, but we have a new leaf coming out. It's got a little like dried dead leaf like on the tip of it, which I can take off, but this plant is doing really well in pon, and I'm so happy that it is pushing a leaf at all, to be honest. You know, this is one of my favorite plants, and it's one of the plants that I like really wanted to master growing the most. And like in the past, I've made videos about like, oh, I feel really comfortable with this plant, and like I will say that's true, but this plant, I think one of the things that makes it so challenging is that it doesn't really tolerate drying out very well, but it also doesn't really tolerate like fluctuating conditions very well, especially humidity. I have another one that's in the grow tent that when I got it, it was like a big plant, and now it's just like a stump because during the Santa Ana winds, I just didn't address its needs very well. So, but this one's doing really well, and I'm so happy. It's been in pon for not too long, but so far, I mean, it seems to be happy. It's pushing that leaf out. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Here's a Philodendron fibrosum, which is fun. It's like super, super fuzzy petioles, and they feel like kind of plastic almost, which is kind of fun. And this plant, like when I imported it, so there's a ton of like nodes in the moss, and I don't really know what to do with it. Like I don't really feel like node propagating it like one by one. So I just stuck them all in moss, and I figured like hopefully the plant will just root a lot and maybe I'll get bigger leaves. But it's doing really well. I took the top cutting. It's in a prop box. But yeah, we have a little growth right there. So hopefully soon this plant will be putting out new leaves, and that'll be really cool. I haven't decided if this is one of the ones I'm gonna like hang on to and make a permanent part of my collection or not, but it is a really cool plant, I will say. Like, it's definitely one that if I had a lot of space, I would definitely want to make space for. But I think I'm kind of venturing away from philodendrons. I'm going to keep my favorites, but I don't know. There's just like more to life, I think, than philodendrons. And there's just so many cool plants from other genuses that I kind of want to like explore. So this hasn't been shown on the channel in a really long time. Most of you have probably never seen it. Most of you probably didn't even know that I have this. This is the Maranta Silver Band, and it doesn't look very good right now. That's because like when I got it originally, I think I got it from Steve's Leaves like last summer, and it looked amazing and it did really well over the summer, and then it dried out and I didn't catch it in time, and all of the like really nice leaves just like browned and looked like crap. So I took a ton of cuttings and put them in water in my prop box, and clearly like the plant did fine, but they're all like really not like that nice in color. And I think that it's because, you know, they didn't get very much light. So it's in pond now and self-watering, and I highly doubt I'm gonna have any issues with this plant drying out again. I'm gonna keep it in my little tabletop greenhouse for a while, but yeah, it's doing well, and I'm happy, because if you guys saw that last video where I mentioned this, like probably the plant haul where I hauled it, I did mention it was kind of a sentimental plant for me because my grandmother used to always grow Maranta, so this is the first Maranta I ever got. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to save it, and hopefully in a couple of months we'll get some new growth in and it'll look a lot better, and I'll be able to take those cuttings and like restart this plant. So glad to report that that one's okay for the most part. I don't think I ever updated anybody on this orchid. I got this at the pop-up in Santa Ana. It was actually another plant that Ivan gifted to me as a thank you for helping out at the pop-up. And it's a Paphiopedilum callosum pygmy type. And it had an absolutely breathtakingly beautiful flower on it when I got it, which of course it didn't last like a super long time because orchid blooms are pretty fragile, but I actually chose it because of the beautiful foliage, because, you know, like you might as well have a plant you can enjoy all the time. But yeah, it's done pretty well. It's like pushing out some new shoots down here. And I'm hoping to, you know, eventually get some blooms on it. We'll see though. Orchids can be a little finicky when it comes to blooming, so I'm not like really like that worried about it, but orchids are something that I think I would like to get more into, like foliage orchids I really enjoy. So eventually maybe I will get some more. I really like the jewel orchids that are like shiny, that kind of look like they have like lightning bolts on them. But so this is my Philodendron verrucosum fantasy, and it's pretty big. I think I cut it. I think there's 3 cuttings in here. And so yeah, I mean, eventually once it starts to grow, it's going to be a pretty big plant, but I have a couple of other verrucosum that I like better. So I actually think that once this plant starts to grow, I'm just going to sell this whole plant, because I just like, I have like 4 or 5 types of verrucosum now, and this one just, I don't know, doesn't like do it for me the same way that some of the other ones do. So I think I'm going to sell this one, but it's still a really cool plant and it's still doing really well. Of all the verrucosum I've imported, this one, I feel like it did really well. So I know the verrucosum type, the verrucosum 2, I have that one as well somewhere. They're really finicky. They're really hard to acclimate. I did not actually like import and acclimate the one that I have. Someone traded it to me for something, but yeah, I think that might be one of the plants that I'm gonna let go, just because I have other similar things that I like better and I need the space. So this is my Florida Beauty, and as you can see, I took some cuttings off of it, but it's still doing good. Like, it's just been chilling in my mini greenhouse, and I'm really curious to see like what the new growth on this leaf looks like, because one of the leaves on the top cutting, the new leaf like was fully reverted. So Florida Beauty can be like really tricky, but this plant is kind of interesting because you can see at the bottom, like that leaf's fully green, that leaf's like barely any variegation. This leaf has like just very tiny bit, and then like not that far up the plant, there's like a lot of variegation. So yeah, Florida Beauties are really a little bit of a mystery as to like how or why they do what they do, but yeah, I'm really hopeful that this new growth has like nice color. So cross your fingers for me. So here's another Cyranoid. This is another Anthurium Cyranoid velvet, and this one I think is actually like a little prettier than the other one. It has like more prominent veins, but I think it's been getting a little bit too much light. It looks a little chlorotic, but it's still doing well. Like it's rooted like absolutely crazy, and it's just hanging out in the tabletop greenhouse. I really like it. I'm very pleased with how well it's doing. I never like open my prop boxes or like show you what's in them. There's a couple things in the prop boxes that I've like never shown on the channel before that I don't know that I'm ready to show. So the Anthurium Cyranoid velvet that I had that rotted in pawn, it has like regrown a lot, and I should just cut that leaf off because it's not doing anybody any favors. It has regrown. So there's actually 2 growth points in here. I think there's 2, there might be more. But yeah, so I'm just gonna like leave it alone, let it do its thing, and then maybe eventually I might separate the 2 plants. Yeah, just chilling. I just put it in a prop box. After I stuck it in moss, I had it in the grow tent for a while, and then I was just like, this isn't really like loving life in here. So now it's in a prop box, and now it's doing a lot better. So this is like a sad story with a happy ending. So, okay, like first of all, like, is this not one of the most beautiful Florida beauty leaves you've ever seen? I mean, like, good golly, Miss Molly. Like, it's so pretty. This is like honestly my favorite Florida beauty leaf, but I had air layered my plant to take a couple cuttings. Like there's some more cuttings floating around in here, and this was my like favorite leaf, and when I went to take it out, it didn't have any roots in the air layering, and I cut it before I checked, and it was just like a very stupid thing to do. But as you can see, we've got a growth point, so I'm very excited about that, and there's roots all over the bottom. So I'm really happy that this is clearly gonna make it, because this is my favorite. Like, I don't know what the new growth is gonna look like, but yeah, this one's really beautiful. So I might keep this one. I like can't keep all of my plants. Like, I really have a hard time like with the idea of selling my plants, which is a problem because I'm supposed to like be selling them. But so here's the top cutting from the plant, and here's unfortunately the reverted leaf, which sucks. But yeah, it really sucks. But oh wow, root is trying to escape. Let me just tuck that back in there. This could probably like use some water. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what the next leaf looks like. Like, cross your fingers that the color is nice, because that would just be so devastating to go from like this to like that. So, I mean, because that would be such a baller plant if like both leaves had variegation on them. I don't have anything in here that's like extremely exciting. Like, I have a lot of like cuttings from my plants, but I guess I will show you like one of the new plants that I haven't like shown yet anywhere. And that's this Anthurium. So this is Anthurium verrucosanum x Anthurium marmoratum. So you guys know what an Anthurium verrucosanum looks like. I have the marmoratum over there. I'm just too lazy to grab it. Maybe I'll make an Anthurium video and you guys can see. I guess this can be like the grand finale of the video. But this is, yeah, the Anthurium marmoratum x Anthurium verrucosanum, and it's really cute. It's doing really well. I got it at the orchid show last month, and it's just been in a prop box. And it's doing great. Look at this root. Like, it's got ideas of its own. I'm trying to decide if I want to put it into pawn or like what I want to do. And here's another little root. But it's clearly doing fine and loving life because it is putting out a leaf. So that is really awesome. And this I think is like one of my favorite Anthurium that I've got, because just look how like dark and like narrow. I feel like this is what I want my dark and narrow like verrucosanum to look like. So I really like this, and I think eventually I'll probably put it in my cabinet. Because now that I put the weather stripping in the cabinet is staying in like the 70s, like the mid 70s, which I think is plenty of humidity for most Anthurium. So this should be fine. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess like we'll just cut things off there. I have like an hour and a half of footage of me just like showing you plants. So hopefully that you guys enjoyed like just a little chill, like easing back into filming, update on a bunch of fun plants, and yeah, I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't realize that I generally post once a week. I usually post on Fridays, sometimes on Tuesdays, so FYI if you like weren't aware of that. And I really like appreciate you guys hanging out with me and coming back to the channel. So, and if you're here for the first time, consider sticking around. Subscribe, it's free. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.